So in this video, I am going to get into the cults or groups that are a part of the Matrix that I talked about in the original Matrix video. So the Illuminati, Luciferians, Satanists, etc. There are other ones, but the ones that I have the most experience with are the Illuminati, Luciferians, and Satanists. And so I'm going to really focus on them because there's a lot of ground to cover with those. Okay, so the Illuminati is not, it's a group that is made up of humans, ET, extraterrestrial groups that are behind the Matrix, and the entities. Okay, they have their own entities. I'm not talking about the other entity groups that I made reference to in a different video. I'm talking about they have their own group of entities that are in spirit form that they use. Okay, the Illuminati is an interesting group because they get a lot of the blame for the Matrix when they're a very small portion of it overall. They are not at the top of the pyramid. In fact, there is really no top of the Matrix pyramid. There is a hierarchy, but there's not one group at the top of the Matrix. The groups that are involved in the Matrix have loose alliances, if you could even call it that. They all have their different desires, their different reasons for being involved in the Matrix, and they are all using the Matrix for their own gain, for the purposes that they are using it for. Each group is doing has a different agenda, okay? And they don't always line up, and sometimes they're competing agendas between the groups in the Matrix. Like, they don't have a cohesive, unified structure necessarily, okay? Sometimes different groups form alliances, but really they all want to be on top, which means that none of them are on top, okay? If that makes sense. So the Illuminati is basically a cult. Like to mess with the family lines, and once the Illuminati are extremely tricky to deal with, okay? They in a lot of different ways, and I'll get more into that. They don't like to be seen head on. Like, they don't want to, they like to know that people know of them, but they don't want people to see them, like actually see them, if that makes sense, and see what they're doing. They don't want that. Okay, they're very sneaky and very tricky. Now, what they will do is they will imprison a family line. So somewhere down the line in a family, they will have gotten a hold of one of the members, and either through direct coercion or manipulation, sometimes they will influence them with their entities in order to get them to do something that they want them to do. Typically what they want to do is they want to get a family member to sign a contract that binds the whole family line into servitude of the Illuminati. Okay, now what that meant back in, the 1500s is going to be different than what it means now. What it means now is that these families are entrenched in mostly sexual abuse that's passed down the line. That is their calling card. They love to have sexual abuse go down the family line, and they have it down to a T. They know how to create a scenario where that's passed down. So all they have to do is get one member to start the process, to start the incest and rape in the family line, and then it gets passed down. Okay, so this is way more common than you would think. They are also very involved in the pedophile rings. Now, the pedophile rings are another group that could be grouped into this group of the Illuminati, the Luciferians, and the Satanists. But the pedophile groups, they're not just one group. And I'll save that for the end. So I'll get into that in a little bit. The Illuminati also likes to get involved in the pedophile group and the pedophile rings. So typically these family lines will be entrenched in the pedophile rings. Okay? They use MK Ultra mind control programming. Now the whole Matrix does this. The whole Matrix uses the mind control, the understanding of how to manipulate and control people's minds and thoughts that they learned through the MK Ultra government program. The whole of the Matrix uses that, but the Illuminati is particularly keen on using the MK Ultra mind control techniques. They will wipe people's memories out, and they will instill memories into their minds using these techniques. This is the whole of the Matrix does this, though. This is in the media, okay? And I'll get more into that in another video. The Illuminati, okay, so they will bind the whole family line into a contract. Now, your soul can enter into what we call a contract, which is a verbal agreement that binds you into that contract until either the terms of the contract are fulfilled or one or more members of the contract decides that they don't want to be a part of it anymore, and they delete the contract. Okay, it is a energetic contract, we'll say, but it binds your physical body also into it. The Illuminati will bind a family line into a contract where the whole of the family line is then in servitude. They are owned, so to speak, by the Illuminati. Now, like my family line is an example of this. My family line was the person who got coerced into it was way down the family line. This is generations and generations and generations and generations ago. So the people who are born into the family line do not remember when they're born or understand that this has happened. Their soul understands it's happened, and they choose to be born into it on a soul level. So that is, again, how they get around the free will. Now, they put in a lot of energetic tech, which is it's like, think of a hip replacement, or think of screws in your spine, or like in one of your arms. Okay, that would be physical tech. That we're talking energetic tech. So this is in your energy body, will affect your physical body. So the Illuminati will put a lot of energetic tech within the family line that gets passed down. So these pieces of energetic tech get passed down the energy line. They'll use curses, contracts, other oaths and agreements to layer in things that the person has to deal with. So, for example, they instilled in me the inability to be successful. It was like I couldn't get over every time I tried to like do something to get myself in a better financial situation, I would get batted back down, or I would, and it was myself doing it too, but also externally, because like I said, when there's an energetic resonance of something within a person or within the collective energy field, it works both ways. It will attract that scenario back to the person. So I had an energetic signature of this tech running that was like, you'll never amount to anything, essentially, was the bottom line. And so every time I tried to make something of myself, the world would, like, I would have external situations happen to bat me back down, but I would also internally do that. And it's because I was carrying an energetic signature of that pattern. And so I was attracting that into myself, and I was also creating that for myself. And it was like this perpetuating cycle that I couldn't get out of, because I didn't know that there was a piece of tech holding this in place. Okay. And so they'll layer things in. There's a lot of layering that happens with the Illuminati. They don't want you to see. And so for somebody like me who works in trying to free people of these things or help them free themselves, when I work with Illuminati tech, or I know there's an Illuminati contract I'm working with, if I try to look at it head on and see what I'm looking at, I can't. It's like hazy. It's they put like a frequency and signature around their stuff to make it so that you can't look at it head on. And as soon as I recognize that that's happening, then I know it's Illuminati, and then I can start dismantling it. That's the way that you have to go about it. But so for people that work in this field, I also do not recommend working with the Illuminati if you're new to psychic surgery, so to speak. I do not recommend working with the Illuminati right off the bat. They are very tricky. You have to be hyper vigilant to make sure that they don't mess with you and mess with the client that you're working for. So unless you are experienced or you are very strong and aware in your own being, I do not recommend working with them right off the bat. I'm not saying don't ever work with them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be cautious. Be cautious. They are, I always call it Illuminati fuckery, because it's always fuckery. You can never, it always takes multiple, you have to, there will be multiple layers you have to get. There will be energetic tech you have to get out. There will be cords contracts. There will be other beings. Meanwhile, they'll send their entities to attack you without you realizing it from behind. It is a fuckery when there's Illuminati involved. The beings, you will know that they're Illuminati because you will never see their face. They will always have a cloak over their face, and it's always, it looks red to me, but it could be another color, but that's how it's looking to me when I see it. It looks red. It's a cloak. It covers their face. You can never see under the cloak. They all look the same. They all look the same, and they will come in numbers. You will get like 10 of them at a time, 10, sometimes 20. They will come in force. If they know you're trying to help somebody free themselves from an Illuminati contract, they will come in force to try to intimidate you, to scare you. They will try to get you to forget to make mistakes. They will try to get you to, they will try to get into you as you're doing it. It is fuckery, okay? These guys are tricky, but they're not as scary as they may seem. They just take a seasoned person. Like, they take a seasoned practitioner to be able to work properly with what they do, because they will have curses attached to tech. So if you don't take it out right, you'll hit a trip wire, so to speak, and it'll release a curse that could cause physical issues with the person that you're working with, or mental issues. So you have to just be careful, okay? It's just, don't do it out of ego, and don't do it, just because you can do it. Do it because you feel strong and you feel called to do it, okay? Okay, so they will instill abuses down the family lines. Now, they will try to tell a practitioner that the family line is bound in this contract. They cannot, by the laws of the universe, they cannot just say this family line is bound for infinity. They say it, but they can't actually follow through with it. They can't do it. So you can get out of an Illuminati contract. They will try to act like you can't. You can. You always can. Okay? And you can get your family line out of it too, but they will try to tell you need to leave the rest of the family line in the contract. Okay? So the Illuminati, they also deal with the humans that are embodied, and they will use the entities and the ET. So all of the beings that are part of the Illuminati will do blood sacrifices. They will actually sacrifice humans or animals, but they will do rituals, like think eyes wide shut type of shit. They will be in costumes. They will try to keep themselves hidden, like the embodied humans. The humans who are embodied, who are part of this, will try to keep themselves like hidden and whatever. There's secrecy surrounding the whole thing. Like, it's very secret. It's very ancient. This goes back to the beginning of humanity. This was around, okay? Now, I don't know whether they must have some set of beliefs that are around Satanism, or surrounding like Satan, or maybe the dark arts. I'm not sure what their general belief system is. I just know what they're capable of, if that makes sense. So a lot of the humans that are a part of the matrix system, they would be part of one or more of these groups, like the Illuminati, Satanists, Luciferians, okay? The Satanists are very similar to the Illuminati, except they're not as tricky. They're more obvious about their stuff. They also do blood sacrifices. They will sacrifice humans. They will sacrifice animals. All of these groups prefer to sacrifice humans when it's available. So the Satanists will also use the same types of eyes wide shut like rituals that the Illuminati does. They're very similar in the rituals that they do. They are very powerful. They are also involved in the pedophile rings on the planet. They worship Satan. Satan is a dragon. Satan is a being. It's a dragon. Okay? Satan is old, ancient. I don't know how old, but that being is super ancient. It is exhausted because these groups that pull energy from Satan, they're pulling energy from this particular being. This particular being is in a prison of its own. Like, at one point, the being put itself in the prison, and now, because of all the groups that are worshiping Satan, but really they're not worshiping, they're pulling energy from this being and using it. Okay, this being is exhausted. It is tired and it doesn't want to play the role of Satan anymore. It wants to be free. Luciferians are these guys are real wild, okay? They're very different in their energy than the other two, okay? They're very, these beings, so they are humans who tap into a certain dark art energy field, so to speak. It may be a collective of beings that they're tapping into, that they pull from and they embody it. Whatever they embody, it makes their eyes go black. Okay, so you would know a Luciferian by their very black eyes, and they are very good looking, like strikingly good looking. Like the one I saw was very tall, muscular, young man with blonde hair, very gorgeous. Like you would be drawn to them, like attracted to them. But that's kind of their calling card. Very beautiful people, but they are not only human anymore. There is another energy or entity that takes over them, where their eyes go black and they do really terrible things. They're pyromaniacs. They like to play with fire and explosives, and so they wreak havoc. They are like anarchists. They want to wreak havoc on society. They just want to blow shit up and act crazy. They are more rare, much more rare than the other two groups. It's a lot harder to come across them. So they're fewer and far between, but they are very powerful. Stay away from them. Just stay away. I would not even engage with them at all. And okay, so the pedophile rings. The pedophile rings are worldwide. The pedophiles are part of the humans that are part of the Matrix, okay? Most of them. They are, the pedophiles will act like they're persecuted, like, oh, poor us, whatever. They're not victims. They are very good at manipulation. They will act one way. They are very good at pretending. They'll pretend to be a victim. They'll pretend like, oh, this is just the way I am, and I'm being persecuted. But behind it all, that's not the truth of what they are. Behind that, they are very manipulative, conniving. They want to snuff out kids. They want to snuff out the vibrancy of a child. They like to see a child suffer. When you think of a child, you think of, being close to source energy. They're very vibrant. They're just innocent and compassionate beings. That is closer to the truth of who we all are, including these people that I've been talking about. The core of them is still source energy, okay, as well. They have forgotten. They have cut themselves off. They are angry at source or human or whoever, and so they're acting like how they do. But anyway, back to the pedophiles. They are intentionally want to harm children. It is not a compulsion. It is they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they don't care. They will intentionally harm children, and they choose children intentionally because of what they represent. They represent goodness. They represent source. They represent light and life and energy. They're the good in the world, so to speak. They want to snuff that out. They want to snuff the good in them out. They want to take it and crush it. The pedophile rings are in a lot of places, and the pedophiles themselves will end up being in very powerful positions within society or within organizations. They will pretend that they are somebody else. They are very good pretenders. They are very good actors. They will make you think that they are one way, and behind closed doors they are another way. But it doesn't mean that these people are, that the soul of these people are unredeemable, okay? It doesn't mean that these people should not receive forgiveness at some point. I'm not saying that they should just be forgiven for their crimes and, you know, let loose on the world. That's not what I'm saying. And I'll get more into the forgiveness piece in different videos. Pedophile rings are prolific. They're worldwide. They work underground. They work, a lot of times there will be a pedophile ring here and a pedophile ring there, and they will work together to exchange children within their pedophile rings. Oftentimes they have children of their own. Oftentimes these men, because they are mostly men, there are women involved, but they are mostly men, are also a part of those other more satanic, cultist kind of groups as well. They can be involved in child sacrifice, in the Eyes Wide Shut parties, those types of things. Okay. Okay, I'll leave that video there. I will see you next time. Thank you.